Whether it's the Kentucky Derby, a PGA event, a UFC fight, or a Louisville Cardinal game, Louisville is certainly an event town. But to be an event town, you have to attract events, you have to organize events, and of course, finally execute and put them on. With me now is a man who does just that. He is Greg Fante, the president and CEO of the Louisville Sports Commission. Greg, nice talking to you once again. Thanks for coming on.
Always good to visit with you, John Ramsey. Appreciate the time that we get to sit down and just talk about sports.
We do have fun, and you're very passionate about this. Now, I know, Greg, you've been in this position probably about a year and a half. With that being said, though, you've been with the Louisville Sports Commission quite a long time, right?
Ever since its inception in 1999, we were formed in 1999 by Metro government, the Louisville Convention Visitors Bureau, and the Kentucky State Fair Board as a nonprofit to help drive more sports business to the community.
Okay, so you kind of said it right there, but so let's talk about that. I think your main objective is to help out economic development and bring people into town and more hotels and heads and beds and restaurants and all of that. With that being said, okay, so what kind of events do you attract? Obviously sporting events, but it's a wide array, right, Greg?
It is a wide array, and before I get into that, I would tell you that that is one leg of the stool of what we do. We have a whole health and wellness component to our organization for the health and wellness of local Louisvillians, but as it relates to economic development and what we do, certainly it is about putting the right people in the room together to negotiate the deals for large sporting events to take place. And it is everything from world championships. We hosted the UCI World BMX Championship in Freedom Hall, the UCI World Cyclocross Championship down on River Road. That's cycling at the highest level, the international level. We host everything from BMX national championships to USA volleyball championships at the Expo Center. We've got the largest basketball tournament on planet Earth that will take place in the month of July at the Expo Center and the Convention Center. They use both facilities, over 110 basketball courts, 4,000 girls basketball teams, 1,500 coaches that come to town. All of those things equate into hotel room nights, restaurant covers, attraction visits. Hopefully they have great competition and go home and say great things about their time in Louisville, Kentucky.
Yes, indeed. Basketball, archery, gymnastics, track and field, it goes on and on. So a lot of towns would like to say, hey, we're an event town too. I'm sure what you do, Greg, is very competitive. So what goes into bidding for these events? How do you attract these events? And how does Louisville seem to land so many marquee events?
Well, it is a very competitive industry, and I have counterparts all across America that I consider good friends and cohorts. We compete a lot. It's fun to compete against your friends. It's really fun to win. It's very bitter when you lose, but you don't win them all. And but every city in America is out after this business, and so it takes the right facility to start. Sports does not happen if you don't have the right venue. We're blessed here in Louisville, Kentucky, with a lot of great sports venues that allow us to go after and attract a lot of inbound sports events. It takes the right partnerships. We have the University of Louisville, Bellarmine, Spalding, Simmons College, all athletic departments, all athletic directors on our board of directors that help us when the bid opportunities are out there. To reach out to those organizations, whether it's the NCAA or the ACC or the ASUN, whoever it is that we're trying to get to come, we work collaboratively with our partners. We've got the sixth largest public facility in America in the Kentucky Exposition Center. That allows us to put 90 basketball courts in one venue. It allows us to put 120 volleyball courts in one venue at one time. And you've got organizations that need that kind of square footage, though that number of courts to accommodate. And so we're just lucky to have a lot of great facilities and then the right partners that work with the Sports Commission to help attract those events.
You mentioned facilities, and certainly that's an advantage. You talked a little bit about that. But as a native Louisvillian and someone who works for Metro government, I'm a fan of this city. I know you are as well, Greg. Your name is very respected in this town. So talk a little bit about what separates Louisville as a city from maybe other cities that you're up against when bidding for these events.
I love that question, and I love to answer that question because we get that a lot. I think we outkick our coverage as a community. But when you consider, John, the fact that we have been hosting the Kentucky Derby as a community for 150 years. We've been in sports tourism longer than any other community in America. It's woven into the fabric of who we are as Louisvillians. It's woven into the fabric of our government, our emergency protectors, fire, EMS, medical. They understand how to produce big events and how to protect big events. It's woven into the fabric of our volunteer base that it takes for people to step up and say they're willing to come out and help volunteer. And then the corporate community, they step up financially and support. And most importantly, our fan base, they come out, they show up, and they create a great experience. When you factor all of that into our geography of where we are, and we have 3 iconic sports attractions that you can only get here in Louisville, Kentucky. Today, people want authenticity. When they're competing, they need great competition on the court. When they're not competing, they want to be able to get out into a community and really experience something that's authentic and real. And this is the only place that you can go get Muhammad Ali and the Ali Center. It's the only place you can get Louisville Slugger and you can get a bat made with your name on it. It's the only place that you can go to Churchill Downs and see that historic track and that venue. And so when you factor geography, the iconic sports attractions that we have, you've got a sports commission that knows how to put deals together and partnerships together. And I think that's our secret sauce. That is what happens, bringing everybody together and working the deals.
Greg Fante, I can tell you're the right man for the job because I feel your passion when you talk about Louisville and your love for Louisville, because it is more than sports. It's about, being welcoming. It's about the great restaurants, hotels, as you mentioned, some of the attractions there.
The
Oh,
bourbon,
yeah.
on top of the culinary scene, great authentic neighborhoods. You go down to New Lou, and now you've got this new soccer stadium that is expanding all of that area and that part of Butchertown and making it a very cool vibe. You've got the Highlands, you've got downtown and everything we have going on, the Yum Center. It's just, we got a great vibe here as a community. And when people get here, um, the hardest sell a lot of times for us is to get people to get on the plane to come to take a look. We get them here,
Oh, yeah.
and we close the deal because they're like, this is a cool place and we want to be here.
I'm in total agreement with you. Okay, so we talked a little bit about the variety of events that you bring in here. So let's talk about some upcoming events.
Sure.
Okay, let's start off with the UFC fight. You got a big UFC fight coming here, and you talk about guys who like, or gals who like combat sports.
You bet.
Boy, this has a global reputation for being the best of the best.
It does. I mean, this will have global broadcasting, a spotlight on it. It's Friday night fights for the UFC. We just hosted an LFA event out at Broadbent Arena about 6 weeks ago. Put 3,500 people in. That's the minor leagues of MMA, and now we got the big time coming back with the UFC. Our partner at the Yum Center, Eric Granger, and his team really brought the opportunity to the community. We worked together to get the deal hammered out, and ticket sales have been brisk. I think we're up over 15,000 tickets sold. I think we're going to probably come close to a sellout, so it'll be the biggest combat sport event that's taken place in Louisville in at least the last decade. And they've announced the card. They've got a great card. It's going to be an exciting night if UFC fighting is your thing.
Yep, if it's your thing, you're right. I mean, that's an adrenaline rush, but for some, maybe it's not your cup of tea if you're watching now. So let's talk about, we said variety. What are some other upcoming events that maybe someone will, maybe it is their cup of tea?
Yeah, I mean, we have so much coming up. I mean, we mentioned the basketball, but we also have the TBT coming back to Louisville to Freedom Hall. And, that's $1 million basketball tournament of former basketball players from many colleges. They put their teams together. It's $1 million winner take all. You've got Russ Smith and Peyton Siva, who are leading the U of L team again this year. That will happen. It was a exciting, electric Freedom Hall. It reminded me of the days of Denny Crum on the bench and the excitement that we had in that old venue. You cannot beat historic Freedom Hall. That played more Final Fours than any other facility in the country. And so to have that energy in there with TBT, we're going to follow that with the Professional Lacrosse League, their all-star game. So, you know, professional lacrosse is growing, expanding, and we're lucky to get the all-star break here in Louisville on U of L's campus at their soccer stadium, the Mark and Cindy Lynn soccer facility. So we're excited to have that coming back. We have a USA Fencing National Championship coming this fall. We have a USA Cycling Cyclocross National Championship again at Joe Creason Park. And we'll cap the year with the NCAA Women's Volleyball National Championship at the Yum Center. Last time we came close, we were second in most all-time tickets sold for the volleyball championships, and we're hoping that we can beat the record and sell out the Yum Center for volleyball.
Wow, Greg. You know, the big wow factor, as I said, your passion is very evident, and you guys do a lot as far as Hall of Fame inductee ceremonies. You do a lot in terms of giveaways. You do this golden ticket. Let's talk a little bit about those, because you and I have chatted about this before.
So we, you know, we own and operate 9 events for various reasons for the organization. Much of the time, it's to raise more money for us. We are a nonprofit, and we like to tell people we're our favorite charity. We're the charity of choice. And so we get out and we produce events. We own the largest college cross-country meet in America that we run out at EP Tom Sawyer State Park. We own the Paul Hornung Award for the most versatile player in college football that we award every year. We've got, you know, a great base of alumni when you think about Odell Beckham or Christian McCaffrey or Saquon Barkley.
Oh, yeah.
You know, people that have won that award and have come to Louisville. And it's a way for us to show respect to the great Paul Hornung and the legacy that he left here in Louisville. So we have a lot of events that we produce, running events. The Urban Bourbon Half Marathon is our event. We bring in over 3,000 people that run that race to celebrate bourbon and our heritage in that space. We do a 5K, a 4-miler. We do a lot of health and wellness for the community. We have health and wellness programming. If kids finish first, we just had 150 kids at the University of Louisville run a mile, 1.1 miles to finish their half marathon, and kids finish first. It's an initiative to get kids up, active, and moving. All of that falls under our initiative of Louisville Active, and Louisville Active is really designed. It's 4 programs that's designed to get people up and moving, accountable to their step count on a daily basis to live a longer, healthier, happier life.
Wow, Greg, I tell you what, you are so busy. I'm glad to have you here on the show because it sounds like you're up to a lot. You're very proactive. Last question for you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so is there an event maybe that you have your eyeballs on right now? Give us a little insight to some of the things that you're looking at that may come to Louisville, maybe not, but you're going to give it your best shot.
Well, I don't want to let the cat out of the bag too much.
Oh, come on, let it out.
On some things, but I will tell you that we have a lot of conversation going on for large events to come back to Louisville. I don't think that you've seen the end of great golf at Valhalla. Contrary to a lot of folks, we've got such a fabulous ownership group out there that are very driven and committed to this community and to the sport of golf. And they are working behind the scenes hard on things that we've not been able to host in the past because of the PGA ownership. Now that it's locally owned, they are able to host a broader type of event out there. And so I think you've got some things happening in that space. We're working on some things that have never happened in Louisville in motorsport that if we are lucky, we might see come to fruition. So we're always out there looking at opportunities and things that we've not done that would make a big splash, that would attract people to our community and shed positive light on us is just the great city that we are.
You said a couple of words there that I think are really descriptive of you. You said driven, committed. Those 2 words definitely fit you, and I appreciate your passion. Thanks for what you do on behalf of the city of Louisville. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Greg.
You know, 5th generation Louisvillian. I love this place. My parents love this place. My grandparents loved it. And we're just doing our part to be good custodians and try to make it better.
All right. Once again, Greg Fante. He is the president and CEO of the Louisville Sports Commission right here on Louisville Focus. My next guest on Louisville Focus is the executive director of the Louisville Jefferson County Metropolitan Sewer District. And that's a mouthful because it includes a lot. He is Mr. Tony Parrott. Tony, welcome to the show. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
All right, I'm looking forward to talking to you because I did not realize, I started doing my homework and I did not realize all that your job involves, and it is humongous. With that being said, before we get to that, now you apparently have been with MSD since 2015, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so just a little bit of your resume. I mean, it's really impressive, but what led you to MSD here in Jefferson County and Louisville, the city of Louisville?
Well, you know, I've been in the water and wastewater industry for almost 35 years. And so I've had, this is actually my third utility that I've been the executive director for. And a little bit of background, actually my roots are in Kentucky. I was born in Lebanon, Marion County. And so to me, it was like coming home. And I spent the bulk of my career in Ohio. And my previous job, I was the executive director of the Cincinnati Metropolitan Sewer District. And so when I had an opportunity to come to Louisville to do the same thing, it was like coming home. So, you know, Louisville MSD is unique. We are three utilities in one. We not only provide wastewater services, but stormwater and drainage and flood protection. So a lot of people don't understand the complexity and the size and the breadth of what we do here. And beyond that, we also provide wastewater services to Bullitt County and Oldham County. So it's a unique utility setup here in the Commonwealth.
Yeah, Tony, when I think about what you do, I think a lot about, you know, quality water, of course. I also think about flood protection, and we'll talk about that in a second. But so many services, but I didn't realize how big your department is. Is this usual? Talk a little bit about some numbers here about employees and people that you serve.
Right. We serve about 800,000 residents here in Jefferson County. And our organization has grown, but we have about 750 employees. For example, our fiscal year 25 operating budget is going to be approximately $205 million just for operations and labor. We have a capital budget that is approximately $298 million for fiscal year 25. And of course, we do a lot of stuff beyond just what people see, but we have a lot of services that we provide that are really beneficial not only to the environment, but also to the public health and safety of the community, and also to the economic benefit of the city.
That's what I want to get into here. Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, when you think about our system, I mentioned we serve about 800,000 folks here in Jefferson County, but our systems, particularly our flood protection system, it protects downtown Louisville, it protects all of our neighborhoods, but Louisville is the economic center for the state. And so we protect approximately 550,000 jobs that are actually in the Louisville metro area with our system. And also we protect about $24 billion worth of property value in the Louisville metro area with our flood protection system. And so when I talk about the economic benefit or the economic value, can you imagine if we had a catastrophic failure in a flood protection system and what that would mean to our economic center here in Louisville? So that's how vital our operations is. I think that when you think about flood protection, we are responsible for approximately 26 miles of flood wall and levee along the Ohio River. And we have 16 major flood pump stations that we're responsible for. And a lot of times when people think of MSD, they just think about sewers. Sure. And so flood protection is a big part of what we do, and it's very important and very vital to the economic success of our city.
That, you know, what goes into, I know this is a tough elevator speech because there's so much involved, but flood protection, what goes into that? What kind of, I don't know, I guess what kind of, you know, challenges are there for you to ensure that something that catastrophic doesn't happen again?
And so the flood protection system was built right after the 1937 flood. And so we're dealing with a system that was commissioned between 1940 and 1955. So here we are in 2024, and we have infrastructure and technology that dates back almost 50 years, 50, 60 years when it comes to our flood protection system. So right now we have a system that, from a priority perspective, we need to address to be able to keep our city safe. The challenge is that it's very expensive. I mentioned 16 flood pump stations. Right. We're doing construction on one of those right now, our Patty's Run flood pump station, and that is a $240 million project. That's just one project. Whoa. And so when you think about the challenges that we face when we have those major assets that we have to address, and then you think about all of the other regulatory requirements that we have. I mentioned that our fiscal year capital budget is $298 million. 90% of our capital budget is required by regulatory mandates, either through the federal EPA or through the state water department or authority, where we have state orders with the state of Kentucky of things that we have to do, and it's most related in dealing with aging infrastructure.
So a lot of these decisions that you are made are mandated. It's infrastructure that has to be updated federally and probably here locally. Interesting. So you probably touched upon my next question, which is, so when people see their MSD bill and they're wondering, what am I paying for? Why do I have a raise? Why are my rates increasing? Now we know that's a lot of it. We're seeing this across the country, correct?
That is correct. This is an issue that a lot of large urban core cities are dealing with. When you think about federal mandates, federal consent decrees, and not to mention those regulations that are happening and going to happen in the future. All of those are being done and promulgated, and when they are required by the local utility to do the work, it's usually on the back of the ratepayer. You and I probably remember back in the 70s, 1970s, when the Clean Water Act came into fruition, a lot of the mandates were, I guess you could say it was really supported by a federal grant program, free money. 75% of a lot of the new requirements were funded by the federal government. Fast forward to today, less than 5% of any new federal mandate is funded by federal grant program. And so what you have is a true cost of service that is falling on the local ratepayers. And so our rate is really based upon what we have to generate in terms of revenue to be able to pay our debt. Okay. We got to be able to pay our bills. Sure. Because the majority of the projects that we do, we borrow money. We don't have enough money to pay cash for our projects. So we've got a federal mandate that we must do. We have to go to the bond market to borrow money. And in order to pay that annual debt payment, we have to have increase in revenue to be able to do that. A lot of people don't understand that when you think about the rate increases themselves, they're approved by our local board, which is appointed by our mayor and reviewed and approved by our Metro Council.
And if there's anything over like a 6%?
Yes, if our board authority is 6.9%, and anything above that has to go to the Metro Council for review and approval. So there's adequate local accountability and oversight of what we're doing. And we're doing it, and quite frankly, some of the things that we're doing to go after alternative funding or to go after low interest loans and grants is really helping us, because the rates would be higher than they would be if we weren't doing those type of things. For example, like most of the projects that we have in progress right now, we have about $225 million worth of grants, low interest loans, and other things that we are actually have taken advantage of, that's making the rates lower than they would be otherwise.
So you're doing all that you can to keep those rates low. Yes, but like you said, without the help from federal government to the level it used to, once was, I can understand. Yeah. And I think the good news too, Tony, is, for senior citizens and for those who are, for lack of a better term, financially strapped, there are discounts available, right?
Yes. We have a emergency wastewater rate assistance program. that is available for folks that qualify, and they can get up to 30% discount on their wastewater bill. We also have a senior citizens discount program where they can get another 30% reduction on their bill if they're over the age of 65 and they make less than $35,000 a year. They can qualify for that. So we're going to continue to fund our rate assistance programs. We also donate approximately $200,000 a year via the Louisville Water Foundation. It's a program called Drops of Kindness, and that money goes through the local community ministries, where folks can tap that money if they're having trouble paying their wastewater bills. So a lot of priority in terms of to address rate assistance.
Sure. And another thing I want to bring up, okay, I would usually say the elephant in the room, but it's the elephant in the room. Can't see it, but I can smell it. So let's talk about, Tony, summer is here. And I know this is something you have to deal with, complaints, people saying there's an odor issue here. I would think because of the warm weather, that's going to, kind of, I guess, elevate smell issues. So what are we doing about that? Well, what exactly causes that, and how can we take care of that? Yes.
Well, first of all, I want to, announce to your viewing public that we are in the beginning of odor season. Odor season is running from June probably through the end of October. And it usually happens when the temperatures rise and it gets more drier during the summer months.
Rain helps us.
The rain helps us tremendously. We do live in a city that has a very large, what we call a combined sewer system that was built probably back in the 1800s. Very large pipes that carry both stormwater and waste from homes and businesses. The challenge is during the summer months is that if you're not getting rain, you're getting a lot of waste and solids from homes and businesses that isn't being flushed out. And so as the temperatures rise and you have periods of dry months or weeks where you don't get rain, that becomes a problem. That is usually the kickstart for odors to start happening within the large combined sewer system. And that's primarily anything inside the Waterson Expressway. We have challenges, and we've seen that, and it's not only a Louisville issue. We just had a phone call this morning with the city of Milwaukee, going through the same things that we go through, and we've talked to a lot of our peers. So it's a challenge. It's getting worse as the climate has changed, and the less rain we get, the worse it gets. So we have tried to do a lot of things operationally to address odors in the system. Number one, we're partnering with the Air Pollution Control District under an agreed order to do a lot of things, such as upgrading a lot of our odor control facilities, doing things that are going to help operationally by responding when people call for assistance for odors, flushing the system or deodorizing the system. A lot of the neighborhoods in the local area, there's catch basins that are either not trapped or not working properly. And those are the things that go along the street and catch water when it rains. And so we've got several projects that we've put in our budget to address or replace or rehab those old catch basins, so that odors, when they do happen in the system, they're not escaping through the catch basins into the local neighborhoods. So our board has really done a lot in terms of being focused on how we can deal with odors, both from a capital perspective. We just put in approximately, I would say, $48 million worth of projects for this coming fiscal year and fiscal year 26, primarily to address odors in the system. Not to mention some of our larger projects, particularly at our Morris Foreman wastewater treatment plant. We have a large solids improvement project that's going on down there. That's another $250 million project, and probably $12 million of that scope is built for odor mitigation just on the Morris Foreman site, which is the oldest and the largest treatment plant in the state of Kentucky. There's been a lot of focus on West Louisville, and we will continue to do that. We sent out approximately 50,000 letters and notices to folks announcing 5 public meetings that we're going to have this summer. We had one in April. Our next one is coming up in June, and we'll have one in August, and we'll have another one in September, because we want to get out and tell people what we're doing. We are partnering with the Louisville Water Company as they are flushing hydrants during the summer. Let's coordinate some hydrant flushing in those hotspot areas where we are seeing a lot of odors. And we're adding more staff, we're adding more equipment. We've brought in a odor expert to assist our staff strategically. My Chief Innovation Officer, Kim Reed, has been elevated to really focus on our odor strategy, to not only address how we can help mitigate odors, but what we should be doing for public outreach, what we should be doing for looking at new innovations. And so we have really elevated the focus on odors. But I think I heard the mayor say last week, all these things are important, but they do cost money.
Sure.
And so we're gonna invest in the priorities of the community to address odors in our city.
Tony Parrott, I have enjoyed the conversation. Your level of expertise is unbelievable, and what's great about that is your resume speaks for itself, but it also lends itself to make connections and partnerships and make things happen to keep this city a city that we love. So thank you so much for all that you do.
Oh, thank you.
Once again, that's Louisville. Wait, I want to make sure I get this right. Louisville Jefferson County Metropolitan Sewer District, right?
That is correct. And if people have problems with their odors, they can contact us as 540-6000. Or they can go to our website, louisvillemsd.org/odors.
All right. Thank you so much.